once again, and I know it seems like I'm harping on the playoffs, but there's a reason for that. Is Harden the MVP of the league right now? I think he's past the Greek Freak. I think Harden is now the MVP of the regular season.
Right now.
Okay.
Last year, was he the best player in basketball during the regular season? Yes, he was. That's 2 in a row now, where he's the best player in basketball during the regular season. And my point is this, Stephen A. Can he be, why is it okay to be that during the regular season, but who'd you rather have, Harden or KD? Who'd you rather have, Harden or Steph? Who'd you rather have, Harden or LeBron? Who'd you rather have, Harden or the Greek Freak or AD or whatever? Why do you take other players, or I do, ahead of Harden? Because when it matters most, he's no longer the best player in the world. And why is that significant? Because I'm telling you right now, if he can be the best player in the world in the playoffs, the Rockets can beat the Warriors.
Let me respond to that because I want you to come back after I finish. I think you're being unfair to James Harden. And I'm going to tell you why I think you're being unfair. Kevin Durant and various other superstars in this league can afford to go into cruise control, can afford to be deferential, can afford to let somebody else step up, take the mantle, pace themselves, not absorb as much punishment to the body physically, et cetera, et cetera. If James Harden does that, Houston has no chance.
It's a fair point.
He has to carry them on his back. And so I say that to you to say this. I look at James Harden, and this is nothing that I've said probably will disgust you as much as what I'm about to say. If James Harden keeps this up and the Houston Rockets remain the same, and D'Antoni obviously can't find a way to find a buffer to take some of the pressure off James Harden, I don't know if any of us are in a position to judge James Harden harshly come postseason time. You cannot ask this man
Stephen A.
to carry.
No,
I know what I'm saying.
No, I think he has a legitimate point.
Why?
Yeah. James Harden is very physically strong, among other things, by the way, and has to do so much that it's a legitimate point to say, what's he going to have left in the tank if he has to carry them? However, this is what I'll say. LeBron's had to carry teams a bunch of times.
No, come on, Max. That's not fair.
Wait, time out. Well, you know why it's fair? That's what I'm saying about Harden. In the regular season, he's better than LeBron James,
that's not
right?
what I mean.
What happens in the playoffs?
No, that's not why I'm saying it's unfair. I'm saying it's unfair because LeBron is 6'9", 260.
Let me tell you something.
Come on, Max. He's usually abusing people.
This ain't boxing.
Physically.
This ain't pound for pound. Your size counts in how you play. Taller players are better than shorter players a lot of the time.
I'm talking about the level of physicality.
Or bigger, stronger players.
The level of physicality that he can implement and the manner in which he can punish opponents on the basketball court. That's entirely different than Harden.
It doesn't matter. That's part of what makes him great. So do what you got to do, James. He's a strong guy. The point is this, or if you're not strong enough or big enough, that counts against you. My point is this, Stephen A. Let's choose up teams like you've been doing on the playground. I'm saying if James Harden's the MVP in the regular season, now it's the playoffs, you're choosing up teams, then take him first. Let's imagine he's the guy you would take first of everyone between Golden State and Houston. Boom, you got the best player. Next 2 picks, let's say, are KD and Steph. If he's healthy, the next pick is CP3. That means the top 4 picks are divided among the 2 teams, and you got the best player. Let's keep going. Who's the next pick? It may be Clint Capella the way Draymond's been playing, or maybe it's Clay and then Clay. If you went 8 deep, 4 would be on one team, 4 would be on the other. If it's like that, the team with the best player should win. James Harden be the best player when it counts most.
I feel you on that, but you know what? Let's not forget Steve Kerr against Mike D'Antoni. Let's not forget a coach that prioritizes defense and has won championships because of it, who wanted to implement that when he was the GM in Phoenix, and D'Antoni was his coach, and D'Antoni didn't want to listen, and as a result, it didn't happen. So we can't forget, we got to remember who you have to actually go against. And in the end, what it comes down to is this, to get to your point, Molly, I know that it's dicey because to be so great, to absolve somebody like James Harden, of course you don't normally do something like that. But I saw D'Antoni, and I respect the hell out of Mike D'Antoni, I truly do. But he ran Kobe into the ground. Yeah. And I'm looking at what's happening.
Himself into the ground.
Because he's trying to make the playoffs, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
So put him on the bench.
CP3 and Capella will be back. He won't be in that position anymore.
But you're not hearing us, Molly. D'Antoni doesn't coach defense like that. And
Steve
Kerr, Bizdelic does, yes. But D'Antoni doesn't. He's the head man. Steve Kerr emphasizes that it matters. And if you are James Harden, having to carry the load that he's carrying, I
want to say something about that. You're right. He might be diminished. No one wants to hear these excuses. No one, remember what I said about the Chargers were heading to Baltimore? Hey, Phillip Rivers, no one wants to hear, but it was a tough matchup. Either you win the game or you don't. Here's the thing about James Harden. If CP3 and Capella are healthy, with PJ Tucker and the
That's
whole
fair.
thing.
If
They
they're
got
healthy.
a crew.
If they're healthy.
I am not rooting against James Harden. I am rooting for him. It would be a more interesting NBA universe if James Harden and the Rockets could upset the Warriors. Life would be more interesting. Our jobs would be more interesting. I'm rooting for him. I'm not saying this to set him up for failure. I'm saying he is capable of being the best player in the universe when it doesn't matter as much. Can he do it
Let
when
me
it
ask you
matters
this.
most?
Why does he get cold in the playoffs? Like, what do you attribute that to?
Well, first of all,
obviously he's a superstar.
First of all, sometimes your shot just ain't falling. Sometimes you don't get the calls as well. Because you got to remember, James Harden is a genius as an offensive basketball player. He knows how to draw fouls. He knows how to get to the free throw line, create contact, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is that you don't always get those calls come postseason time. So that's one point. But the bottom line is this: when we look at him, Max, Molly, if the man is averaging 40, right, and then come postseason time, he's averaging 28.
Yeah.
And instead of shooting 45%, he's shooting 42%.
He's shooting under 30 from three.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying hypothetically move forward. I'm not going to look at him and say he's choking.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to have to carry the load
This is how I'm
like
going to
this
look at
down
him,
the
okay?
stretch.
The money's on the line. Hit your shots, period.
Got it.
All right.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.